Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee Books and Rain. I'm Rachel, and I don't have coffee at the moment, but I do have a big thing of lemon water. And honestly, it's a weirdly beautiful day for February 2nd. It is about 72 degrees, and funny enough, there are people by the pool. I am not, but I am still just a little bit chilly. I don't know. It could be some sort of psychosomatic thing where I still feel as though if it's February, it's chilly. But honestly, it feels great in my apartment. I even opened the back door for a little while to let a breeze come in. And I did spend the weekend working on making a sourdough loaf. A friend of mine, she gave me a sourdough starter that I am learning how to make sourdough bread with. And it's been fascinating because each time I try, I've only tried it twice. And this is my second weekend to do it. So each weekend I'm trying to make a loaf, with the starter and stuff. And it's fascinating because it's been different both times. I feel like the first one I made rose really well and looked really pretty, but it was super dense on the inside. Like the crust on the outside was like really hard and it was really almost dense on the inside. This one had a much thinner crust, but still crunchy, and it was much more airy on the inside, but it felt like it was almost a little bit flatter. Very strange. I don't know if anybody knows anything about sourdough, but I am learning as I try it each time. But we're not here to talk about sourdough, are we? We are here to talk about books. And I have books aplenty going on. I did get a couple books from thrift books over the weekend, or probably earlier in the week. I got a used T. Kingfisher that I hadn't read. I saw an article that Stephen King had said what his favorite scary book was, so I bought that one. I got Starling House by Alex E. Harrow because when I read it previously, I just really enjoyed it, so I kind of wanted a copy. And then I've got a couple others on the way as well. But we are talking today about the new TJ Klune book that comes out on February 4th. This is not related to any of his previous books. It does seem to be a standalone for now. And honestly, I do kind of wonder if it is maybe, crossing fingers, part of a cool little series that could be, we could go somewhere with. Who knows? Again, no spoilers are intended for this episode. I do try my best to kind of preface with that. Like, I try not to give spoilers, but I think when I do a bigger review of Wind and Truth coming up probably later this month, there will be spoilers in that, and I'll try to mark it appropriately so. But today we're talking about The Bones Beneath My Skin by TJ Klune. It is approximately 416 pages in hardback. Now this says it was first published October 26th of 2018. It is very possible, now this is on Goodreads, that this, TJ Klune maybe did an independent publishing, and now that he's become, I guess, much bigger name in writings, that it has now found a place and an audience where it can be released and hopefully will reach more people. So this may be the fact that this particular book is being released under a bigger publishing house. So let's dive into the summary real quick. In the spring of 1995, Nate Cartwright has lost everything. His parents are dead, his older brother wants nothing to do with him, and he's been fired from his job as a journalist in Washington, D.C. With nothing left to lose, he returns to his family's summer cabin outside the small mountain town of Roseland, Oregon, to try and find some sense of direction. The cabin should be empty. It's not. Inside is a man named Alex, and with him is an extraordinary little girl who calls herself Artemis Darth Vader. Artemis, who isn't exactly as she appears. Soon it becomes clear that Nate must make a choice: let himself drown in the memories of his past, or fight for a future he never thought possible. Because the little girl is special, and forces are descending upon them who want nothing more than to control her. So, this is considered sci fi, fantasy, romance, LGBT, and fiction and queer. As most of TJ Klune's works, they do have some sort of LGBT element, and honestly, he does it beautifully. I really, honestly, I think, what is it? Beneath the Whispering Door? Under the Whispering Door? Honestly, that book brought me to tears like so many times. And I mean, House on the Cerulean Sea, and all, like, even in the Lives of Puppets, was really, really well done. His writing style is very beautiful in a lot of different ways. I found this one maybe not so heavy on the prose, and I think that makes sense because one of the main characters is this little girl who is Artemis Darth Vader. That's what she kind of goes by, or she really goes by Art. And it's very interesting when we meet her because she's constantly asking questions. However, when Nate asks questions, Alex, who is more or less Artemis or Art's bodyguard, is very much like, man, you ask so many questions. It's like, well, Artemis is asking a ton of questions too, but nobody's like really questioning her. She's like 5. But let's dive into the story just a little bit. And we just went through the summary, which kind of does set the stage. So you're kind of left wondering, like, what's so special about this little girl? Why is she, why are people after her? Why does she have a bodyguard? This sort of thing. Well, Nate was wondering the same things as well. We very, like, when the story opens, Nate is really kind of escaping everything. He has lost his job, he's lost his parents, and again, like the summary said, his brother really wants nothing to do with him. And so the one thing, or the two things he has left, are the mountain cabin that belonged to his parents and his dad's old truck. Well, the thing is he doesn't really like having these ties to his family because they had previously really disowned him because they've ran across him. He went to the cabin with another boy, and I guess when his parents showed up, they disowned him due to his lifestyle choices, or due to his lifestyle. And he really was not accepted from that point on. His father raged at him. His mother didn't stand up for him. And then when his brother found out, he's just like, is it true? And then he pretty much cut ties with his brother, cut ties with him as well. So Nate has more or less been alone or abandoned by his family in a lot of different ways. So to be given these things almost kind of feels like a slap in the face, because the cabin where everything kind of went down almost as a reminder of his family's rejection, and then his dad's truck, it just, that all of it kind of feels like kind of like a slap in the face for Nate, but it's really what he's got left that he can escape to in a lot of different ways as well, if that makes sense. And the TJ Klune writes to a level that you almost get teary-eyed each time. There's almost always something so incredibly moving with the story that he's trying to tell. And maybe in the beginning you don't really pick up on that too much with this one, and it's totally fair because, again, you have these people, Nate, who is really going through it mentally and like just emotionally, just trying to process it. He goes to his, what should be like his escape, and there are people there, and it's Alex and Artie, and he can't even rest. Like, he can't even just decompress or scream at the world because now he's had a gun to his head because he showed up at his own property and someone is already squatting there. So I'm not trying to spoil it because I'm going to try not to tell you the ending parts. This is just kind of introducing this situation to you guys. And but Artie, the little girl, Artemis, she is so incredibly, I guess, compassionate, understanding, open. So there's something so very unique about her because first we learn that she's never had bacon, and then we learn she's never had grapes. And so we're learning all these little things about her, and then we put together some pieces of maybe they came from the mountains somewhere, maybe it was a secret base. Again, trying to kind of stay away too far from giving intense details that may give things away, but I think you can kind of put two and two together and make a full picture. But I love it so much. I do feel like this book is a little bit more sci-fi, where In the Lives of Puppets is kind of a cozy sci-fi. This is kind of a cozy sci-fi. Again, it is set in 1995, so we've also got a little bit of like older technology happening, and so we don't have all of like the new technologies. And there's a like of course there's this sense of found family. I think that's something that TJ Klune does really well as well, is this sense of found family, and in the strangest of places sometimes. So just adding that to kind of give you an idea of how it maybe fits into the rest of his works. I wanted to read this book in my kind of NetGalley arsenal when I first got it, but I really, really kind of tried to wait until the time it was due. And I am so glad because, like, I think if I'd have read it earlier, like, just so much going on in the world that I really needed this sense of, I don't know, kind of heartwarming. And I think I needed that, this escape at this time. And it was really, really nice to have. So I don't know. I mean, there are secret government agencies and conspiracy theories and stuff going on. And I think you're going to be pretty pleased if you pick it up, especially if you like TJ Klune's works. It does not, again, tie into any of his other works. So I mean, it is a freestanding book. He does have a couple of those. And In the Lives of Puppets is a kind of a one-off, even though I think there's a second, not a second one, but there's a novella that goes with In the Lives of Puppets. And I'm kind of blanking on what it's called. I think it's called Reduce, Reuse, Recycle. And it ties into it, but it's not like, it is kind of part of that world, but I think you could still read it without having to read In the Lives of Puppets. I hope we get more from this particular little world and story. I don't know if he has something planned, but I would love to see it. So let's just leave it there. I know I could probably talk on and on about this book, but I'm trying not to give too many spoilers away with regards to it. I love the fact that this one particular review that I found by a person named Jamie, and they're kind of high up on the list if you go into Goodreads, but they do say that they're like, they meet up and become family and everything gets sappy and romantic and heartwarming, and I'm not crying, you're crying, and I'm not spoiling anything here. So that's what that person says, and honestly I completely agree. I am trying my best to just give you those nuggets of wanting to read it. So heartwarming, check. Sci-fi, check. Kind of quirky characters, absolutely. You've got a Grumpy Sunshine, you've got Grumpy with Alex, and a little bit with Nate. Even he's just a little bit, I would say maybe not grumpy, but emotional. And then you've got Artemis, who is definitely the sunshine, who when she walks through a field of flowers, like the flowers bloom and Nate is just blown away. So that's just one little scene in this particular book. Just kind of throwing that out there. But I'm not going to give you any more. You'll need to go out and find it and read it yourself. It is so good and I love it so much. So if TJ Klune is on your radar, if he is on your TBRs, please add this one to it as well. But with all of that being said, I do hope that you will like and subscribe. I hope you will stick around, and I will see you all on the next page. Have a great one. Bye.